back. I now recognize the gentleman from Alabama, Mr. Palmer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to the witnesses for coming in this morning. This is extremely important. Mr. Gaines, the National Institute for Standards and Technology has developed voluntary guidelines for smart grid cybersecurity, and the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission continues to approve industry cybersecurity standards. How helpful are these types of standards to the industry?
The standards are invaluable. They create a baseline. However, I suggest to you that's just what they are, as a baseline, and that the threats that we see today are going forward. They're not going back. And so we identify most of the vulnerabilities associated with those standards and things that happen to us, not what things are going to happen to us. And I don't think that you can regulate or put standards in this to control every vulnerability. What I think you have to have is a collaborative effort across industry and government to address some of the issues that we have.
Part of my concern is that these are industry standards, and James Clapper, the Director of National Intelligence, said the greatest threat to our national security are cyber attacks. I think he identified 140 attacks against U.S. corporations by China, and it appears to me that we're in the middle of a digital arms race in terms of cyber attacks. And specifically, my concern right now is with our energy infrastructure, and how devastating it would be if we had a cyber attack against our infrastructure that shut it down. Do you think industry standards alone are enough, or does the government need to take a more active role in this, particularly in developing the technology to protect us against cyber attack?
I first of all answer your first question, are the standards adequate? They are adequate, and I repeat again, they create a baseline. If you would suggest, though, that could more be done, I do. And I apologize, I don't remember the member's name. More research needs to be put into technology, number one. And it can be on any one of those three fronts. Prevention is the area that I suggest. Information sharing is a big piece of that. How we can be more collaborative and develop tools between government and industry to share, and within industry. And so I would suggest where the government can be a major player is they have access to information we don't, and vice versa. And the idea is, how can we get that to be a timely sharing of information and a more detailed level of sharing of information? That's the area that I suggest that we put more emphasis on, not necessarily standards.
Well, in regard to the timeliness, Mr. Stacey, in your testimony, you mentioned that intrusion detection technology is not well developed for control system networks, and that it can often be months before malware is detected. What are the factors that account for such a significant amount of time that elapses before detection?
Well, first, let me characterize, as Ms. Lee did, the difference between IT technology and OT. With IT technology, we're fairly mature now in proactively managing systems. We have configurations and patchings that we use to manage these systems. Operational technology or industrial control systems may manage several hundreds or even thousands of points a minute. And if you try to proactively manage that network, you can do a denial of service attack on yourself. And so the tools today are basically passive monitoring, watching for things in and out. And the sophisticated hackers are aware of that and can go slow and low. And so the detection oftentimes, as I said, comes from a third party. And this is another research area that could be invested in, is the detection technology for industrial control systems. Thank you.
Is that, in your opinion, where we need to go in terms of improving the detection time?
Correct.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I yield the balance of my time.